What's up?
Hi there.
Tyler. Keith. End of the year extravaganza continues. We put up our top songs of 2017. Now we're going to talk about what albums are getting honorable mentions, what albums disappointed us, what albums surprised us, before we both do our end of the year album of the year list.
Yep.
So, I think yours is going to be up tomorrow. It's your top 12, and then mine's going up my top 20 the following day. So, lots of stuff. Also, at this point, Game of the Year and Movie of the Year is up as well, so go check them out. What albums did not make your list, but you want to give a shout out to because they were still solid stuff?
So the first album I'm going to bring up that I would like to mention is Arch Enemy with Lord of Power.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, just to get this statement out of the way, all these albums are good. They just weren't good, and which sounds bad. They just weren't good enough. Like they were like I didn't want to have my list have every album.
Yeah, me too. And there's some albums on here that I am genuinely surprised did not make my list.
Oh yeah.
And also, like last year, I expanded my list to 25, and it was just a little too much for me personally. So yeah, I agree with you on that.
So this is one, and like I really like songs from this album. Like my favorite song from this album in particular is the one of give me 2 seconds. So, well, the Race is a good song.
The Race is good.
The Race is good.
Eagle Flies Alone is one that has some solid shit
stuff. Oh, A Fight I Must Win is my favorite song from the album, and then Reason to Believe is another good song. It's the first, like, as far as I'm aware, first song has clean vocals in it, and Elisa White-Claws is a good vocalist. So, this album was a nice one. This is probably the closest one they almost made it to my list. I also have Ailstorms, No Grave But the Sea.
Yep, that's one of mine too.
Which I think it's mostly because this album didn't really. It's about as, maybe, if you want to think so, as good as Sunset of the Golden Age, but it doesn't really go beyond that at all. Even though there are like a lot of good songs that I really do like on this album, it's just that this album doesn't really push Ailstorm forward at all.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the whole issue with this album. I also have Overkill.
Yep.
With the grinding wheel. Again, it's just the issue of, comparatively, this album. It's not my favorite Overkill album. It's better than White Devil Armory, but it's just this album's a little weird at times, but I still genuinely enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and then the last honorable mention that I'm going to give is Mind Maze with Resolve. This is another really close one. Because this album's like really good, and I just, again, there's not really too much else to say. It's just I think there are albums that kind of even do power metal. Specifically, there are a lot of really good power metal albums this year, and there's a lot of albums that just do it better, in my opinion. So those are my honorable mentions.
I mean, as always, I have a pretty large list, so I'm not going to talk too much about a lot of them, because a lot of them we did review, so if you want more thoughts on them, go check them out. But starting off with Pallbearer and Heartless. Pallbearer's new album, I think, is phenomenal. I know this is an album that's pretty high up on a lot of people's list. It just didn't hit me in the same way, but it is still a grand album with a lot of just fantastic and beautiful moments on it. Ensiferum with Two Paths. I think this album is good, and there's a lot of great songs on here. I almost kind of look at it like Hailstorm a little bit. Like, it's just another good Ensiferum album, you know what I mean? But there's some fucking jams on here, like title track, Don't You Say, for those about to fight for metal. There's some good ones.
Feast with Valkyries.
Yeah. Yep. Cannibal Corpse with Red Before Black. This is another one that is just a great album, but it is another Cannibal Corpse album. And like there's a lot of fucking fantastic songs on here, like the title track. Code of the Slashers is just such a mean song, and Firestorm Vengeance is another one that's really good. But you know, it's just another Cannibal Corpse album for me. Immolation with Atonement, I really like that album as well. Another just crazy, weird, very heavy death metal album. Septic Flesh with Codex Omega. fantastic collection of songs there. It's just the past two Septic Flesh albums have just not clicked with me the way that their albums Communion or The Great Mass has. Probably the biggest shocker on here that I really thought they were going to make my list is Ne Oblivis Scars with Ern. So their first two albums are just perfect. They're 10 out of 10 albums to me. Their second album is one of my favorite albums of all time. And to me, this album is really good. But it just does not have the same catchiness, and it did not click with me the way that their other ones did. But there's some really fucking fantastic moments on here. It's just when I make my album of the year list, I immediately just start writing down the albums that immediately just come to my head. Because if it comes straight to my front of my mind, then it's probably an album that deserves to be on my list. Because, immediately I'm like, this, that. And this is an album that did not come to my mind right away. So, yeah. It's a little bit of a shocker. It's not, again, not a bad album, but yeah. Another one is The Black Dahlia Murder with Nightbringers. I think it's good. I think it's very good. There's other albums that I just very much enjoyed more. Darkest Hour with Godless Prophets and Migrant Flora. Darkest Hour have come back after a very poor self-titled album, and honestly, even their album before that, their two albums before that, just felt a little bit flat, but this album is honestly really good. Firewing with Immortals.
Wow.
This one I really thought was going to make my list.
Wow. But this is, okay, non-spoiler. There's some differences here.
Yeah, I mean, this album is phenomenal.
It is.
It is really, really good, but just, I don't know. When I was just going through things that I liked, this is just one that just didn't land in my top 20, but it's very close. Beast in Black with Berserker.
Yeah.
Beast in Black, to me, this album, the first half of this album is fucking perfect. And then the back half just drops off for me, and it just sounds a little bit the same. It gets a little bit, the songwriting just gets a little too lame, I think. Like, the track that I think of specifically is Crazy Mad Insane. Like, there's nothing to that song.
Yeah.
It's a weird song, and like Eternal Fire is another song that there's just nothing to it, in my opinion. But man, that first half is just power metal magic. I love it. I still listen to this album. It only came out recently, but I still listen to this album all the time. Just constantly putting it on.
Especially like the big songs from the album.
Yeah. Intervals with A Way Forward. So this album just came out 2 weeks ago, and it is really good. It's right up there with their last album, I think. And it's a good, very good feeling album, in my opinion, that I very much like. Dying Fetus with Wrong One to Fuck With. Once again, very good, but it's another Dying Fetus album. Obituary, self-titled, very good as well. This is an album that I liked a lot when it came out, but I kind of fell off of it a little bit and just didn't really think about it too much, but it is very solid. Black Anvil with As Was. I think this album is good. I know a lot of people give this band shit, but to me, they have a lot of great potential with the direction that they're going, and they give me a lot of good, like, Agalock feels and all that stuff. I'm not saying they're as good as them. I don't think anybody will ever be as good as Agalock, but still. I'm just going to skip a few of these because fuck them. Suffocation with Of the Dark Light, I think is another solid album from Suffocation. I want to give a shout out to 100th with their new album Rare. So 100th was one of those like melodic hardcore bands, like a Counterparts or The Ghost Inside or something, and I thought they were fine. That stuff really isn't my thing, but they completely said, fuck this, we're not doing this anymore, we don't want to make this music, and they completely changed their sound. Like, I'm not kidding you, like, completely changed their sound. Just something that is just so chill and actually really engaging to me, and I found myself really loving their new album a lot. And I know a lot of people are giving them shit because they don't even play their old stuff live, and so there's a lot of these, like, young kids that like going to these hardcore shows that when 100th is on the bill, that's what they want to hear. And they want to get in the pit and do their karate shit and do whatever. But they're not doing that shit anymore. And this stuff is not even remotely close to that. But to me, To me, it's a dramatic shift that I think works. There's another dramatic shift that I feel doesn't work. We'll get to later. Rings of Saturn with Alto Ula. So this one just kind of changed direction a little bit for these guys, but there's some really fucking amazing moments on this album. A band that I think has a lot of potential, I think this was their first album, Portrait with Burn the World, is really good. It has some very like King Diamond feeling vocals, a lot of just traditional heavy metal riffs, and fantastic moments. I think of the song Martyrs is one that really sticks out to me a lot this year. And then Paradise Lost with Medusa is also very solid. There's a lot of other albums that is good, but I'm not going to just keep rattling off shit. But those are some albums that I want to give shout-outs to.
I forgot two. One of them's like so, which I'm not even going to spend that much time. One, Galactic Empire.
Galactic Empire is good.
Their album. They're good. It's just that I don't know if a band that they just do, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? They do Star Wars music. I just don't know if that should be on a top album. I mean, it is really good. And then the other one, because it just came out, and even though I do like it a little bit of what I've heard, Revival, Eminem's new album. It's different. I'm not sure if I like it. Like, it literally came out just a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So, I just want to throw it out there. Like, I like a little bit what I'm hearing, but I have not been able to listen to it enough to warrant talking about it. And then, I mean, I forgot a bunch. I only forgot two more. And then Greta Van Fleet and Stone Sour.
Yeah.
Two, it's just...
Stone Sour's good.
Stone Sour, I think I like House of Golden Bones and stuff like that better. And then Greta Van Fleet, I like it. It's just that, I mean, I just don't really listen to rock too much, so it just didn't hit me. But they're fun, so I can't believe I forgot those two. Those two in particular, they were on my list. I just didn't say them.
Yeah. In terms of like an album that just really surprised me this year, and it's actually Spoilers one that's on my list. It's just Cradle of Filth with their new album. It's just like I listen to it, I'm like, I still can't believe this is as good as it is. Like, it just still blows me away. But then another one, 100th, like I was talking about, kind of can't believe that one was as good as it was, too. Just an album that just, two albums that just really came way above my expectations,
Yeah, same thing, kind of like, I guess, Power Trip was one. And then, it happens all the time. I should just be used to it by now, but Body Count.
Body Count,
it's just like
fantastic.
Just kind of like what?
Yes.
Which I had the same thing when Manslaughter came out, and I'm like, and then Bloodlust came out this year. I'm like, what? Okay, right. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a few other albums that just really just above my expectations. I mean, there's the Archers with Apex, like they completely changed.
That was really good. There's also like bands that just like didn't have satisfactory albums last time, and they put out good ones like Trivium.
Yeah.
And Warbringer. Both those bands, the album before, not their best work, and then they put out two of my favorite albums from this year.
Yeah. Also, going back to the honorable mentions, an album I forgot about, but shout out to at least the album and the musical side of them, Decapitated, with their new album, Anti-Cult. Very good. I mean, of course, the situation that they're in is awful and everything, but their new album, I thought just fucking slammed. In a very good way. If there's any
that's all I can think of, because I mean I only listened to maybe like 20 this year, so that's most of my albums.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I listen to like way more, but I don't want to give honorable mentions to everything.
Yeah,
there's some other albums that I do very much enjoy from the year, but any that disappointed you or came below your expectations?
There's really only one, and it's because I completely forgot this album happened. And it's Havoc with Conformicide.
Yeah, that's one for me too.
That's like the only one, because like I literally was like, okay, cool, do my albums of the year. So I was able to rattle off like every album that I just mentioned. Like, okay, this is an album. Okay, this was an album. Tyler told me about it. I need to listen to this so I can get it. And it's like, okay, cool. And then I'm like, okay, well let me just double check the videos. And I went through the playlist and I'm like, fuck, Havoc put out an album this year. And I'm like, and so it was like, if that happened, I was like, this kind of deserves. And also, they just haven't been that great since Time Is Up.
Yep.
It's just, the lyrics a little too on the nose, and it's just, I don't know. It's just it's not, it doesn't jive with me anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Say like when I think of Havoc, I think of like Time Is Up and just the intensity and energy that album had, and it was just magic. In their past two albums, I think it's fine. There's some songs on there that are fine, but it's just not. I don't know. It's just. It's like thrash metal that, in a weird way, like I just don't like, and it just doesn't hit me at all. Yeah, that's one for me as well. Another one to me, you know, it's just such a divisive album. It's either you like it or you don't, and that's Suicide Silence with their new self-titled album.
Right.
I mean, they totally changed who they are and everything, and that's fine. I think it, like I said, I think with 100th it works, but to me, it just doesn't work with Suicide Silence, and it could work on their next album or the album after that. Never know. It was their first time just really just doing something different, something that they wanted to do. I think it's just kind of the vocals that just really turn me off of. It's Eddie's vocals, and I know they're different. They're more raw and everything, and you get that feeling from them. It's just not vocals that I just never want to listen to ever again, sort of shit. I don't know, I just feel like they're in a weird place, because they have a lot of Deftone influence in it. It's like, I could just listen to Deftones. I just don't think even with that influence you're doing anything that really excites me. And then even on their, like, harder side of them, the deathcore side of them, there's just some better stuff to listen to. So, I don't know, they're just in a really weird spot that maybe they'll get their way out of, for me personally. But I know you're kind of in the love it or hate it camp with that one. I don't think of any other ones. An album that it's just, and it came out very recent, that I've just kind of really fallen off of, and I think I like it a lot less as I've gotten away from when I reviewed it, is the new Morbid Angel album. I think it's good, but man, it's really repetitive. Like, holy shit. Like, but there's some very heavy moments, but I don't know, not very much that stands out there, honestly. And there's some sites out there that are like, this is one of the best albums of the year, and I'm like, whatever, man. It's all good.
That's your call,
all
bro.
this stuff's very subjective anyways, but that's one that I just don't see. And I know there's some albums that a lot of people are talking about that I'm seeing on a lot of end of the year lists that I just didn't really listen to, nor are some of my thing. Like Code Orange is one I'm seeing a lot. I checked it out and I'm like, it's just not for me. It's cool. But Elder is another one. The band Elder.
I've seen a lot, especially with Code Orange. I've heard a lot. Yeah, there's the dude who's the which I mean is fine. Everybody has their musical taste. The dude he did a top 100 albums of this year.
Holy shit!
But it's mostly like hardcore, like almost exclusively, and I'm just like, that's fine. But it's like there's like, all right.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, that's his stick. Hey, that's his shtick. But like,
yeah, there's a ton of like variety on my list, which I really like. You know, looking at it, I'm like, wow, there's really stuff all over the place on here, which is cool. I think it's cool and important to like different styles of whatever you like. You know, different genres.
Yeah.
It's fun. So yeah, album of the year list, all that stuff going up. Check out all the other videos. Thanks for watching. See you.